My community and I have spent weeks building our transport empire in OpenTTD, with efficient lines, booming towns, and steady profits. But what happens if we hand the same world over to the AI? Can it really outsmart our human creativity? Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome to this special head-to-head in OpenTTD. We've taken the exact same world from Season 12 and given it to the game's AI, specifically the AAA Hog EX. Now, the question is simple. Can the machine logic outperform the real human decisions when everything else is identical? So, who builds the better transport empire? The players or the program? Let's find out. To make this experiment fair, everything matches my Season 12 community playthrough. We start in 1930, with slow town growth for steady progression. The map uses a full suite of mods, including Iron Horse for trains, AV8 for aircraft, some trams, and Shark ships for a broad range of transport tools. Vehicle limits are set to 5,000 and trains can be up to 12 tiles long, giving everybody room to grow. If you want a complete list of the mods and settings, you can find them on my website, masterhellish.net/S12. In short, it's the perfect testing ground to see if the AI can keep up with this human creativity. First, let's look at how the humans performed. Across Season 12, I've been joined by 2 community members each week, giving us around 24 hours of combined human gameplay. Now, if you want to see all of it, the full streams are on my channel, but here are the results after 11 years in the game. Now, you have already had a preview of this because all of the footage in this video leading up to now has been footage from this particular world built by me and the community in my Season 12 Let's Play. You can see here that we've managed to construct some pretty intricate networks with nice little sets of depots, junctions, stations in one form and another in various different ways. And it's not just trains, we've got road vehicles too, a bunch of ships going about the place, and even some aircraft including some blimps. But how do we measure the company? Well, let's look at some key statistics. Firstly, its size. We have 229 stations. The busiest one is this one here, Tongfingberg Springs Central. It seems we need a few more trains to go to this station to deal with the thousands of passengers. Speaking of trains and vehicles, we have 231 trains, 395 road vehicles, only 24 aircraft and 122 ships, for a total number of vehicles of 772. Now, I think that's quite a lot of vehicles going around the world. But the world is quite big. The Season 12 map is 4 times bigger than Season 11, and you can see with the purple that's on the map the extent of the network that we've built so far. We started out with a coal route. Coal pays quite well, and Brandon managed to find a number of coal mines that were all quite closely situated with each other. This got profits off the ground quite nicely, and then we were able to expand into a variety of other things. You've seen quite a lot of our main passenger network. This was a fun part to build, and we're still expanding it at the moment. The production of goods is going quite well. We've got a factory and a sawmill feeding into a station, and getting all those goods delivered is making a good bit of money. We've got 8 trains delivering that, and it's got 1.1 million last period. Now, I said period. That is because we're not doing this in years. Each year in this game is stretched to 45 minutes long, as opposed to the standard 12, to give us a really long playtime. And it's not just over here. Down in the bottom corner, we also have more goods being produced, with other networks coming from farms, and also lots of iron ore and steel from this hub here. So with this many vehicles and stations, and the hive of activity we've built, what are the financials looking like? Well, you can see that we've got quite a lot of income coming into the company. 29 million revenue from trains, road vehicles, aircraft and ships. Most of that, of course, coming from trains. The operating expenses are not too bad, nearly 6 million, which gives us a nice overall profit. At the end of period 44, the total revenue was 29 million, with having 282 million cash in the bank. and the company value keeps increasing. At the end of period 44, it was 289 million. And if we have a look at that detailed performance rating, we can see that the company's already hit that 900 mark. We've hit all the milestones for vehicles, stations, the income, and the amount of delivered cargo, the types of cargo, and also the amount of money. And of course, we've paid off our loan. The operating profit is relatively steady and growing. This is mirrored in the income graph, and you can see the company value has strong growth. So overall, a profitable company, which has good value and is growing and able to sustain that growth. It has a wide variety of vehicle types used in various different ways. One of the brilliant things about Season 12 and having guests come on the stream is everybody's got their different little ideas and playstyles, and it's fantastic to see it all in one game. From mini metro networks snaking their way around the towns, to industry logging, with both small and larger trains, and different solutions for the same problem, like the servicing at depots, handled in a few different styles, but all of them interesting and fantastic. And Season 12 is still ongoing, so check out the live streams coming in the future, and you can even take part, and the links are in the appropriate places for that. So we can see that the humans have a wealth of profit in their company, and also a variety of interesting and creative designs. I wonder how the AI will do. So here we go. The map is clean and fresh. We're back in 1930. All the GRFs and settings are still the same. I'm going to unpause and the AI will join the game. And there we go. The hog's in, and they have a little depot down here as a starting point. And you can see here in the debug section of OpenTTD the actual things that are happening in the background. Now, if you're interested in the technical details, looking at this can be quite fun. You can find it down in the help menu on the AI and game script debug section. And you can see we're nearly halfway through January and the AI hasn't done anything yet. That's because the AI goes through a number of calculation phases before it actually starts building. It's looking for the right things to do. Things like considering the cargo payment rates, the vehicles that are available to it. So I wonder what it'll work out it thinks is best to start with. Is it going to be a coal route? Is it going to be passengers? Is it going to be trains or aircraft? Let's see. Well, we're into February and the AI is still estimating and checking. And it is finally April by the time it's done something. Let's have a look and see what it's doing. It has got some ships. Oh look, a tiny little ship. Right next to a boy, it is carrying mail. It's a mail service. Okay, so we have a dock in at this town, Nunwood, and it's going across to, is it Nundwood? Nundham. Okay, so we've got a little shipping service, a mail shipping service between these two towns. When you go diagonally across the world like this, you get a little bit of a bonus in profit due to the way that the game measures distance. You can see on the cargo payment rates that mail does pay better than passengers and sustains that payment rate for a longer period of time. And both of these towns are quite big. Hopefully that means the coverage of that particular station will actually... Oh, it's cheating. Here we go, look. So if we have a look inside the town, we can see that the AI has placed some extra truck stops. These truck stops are spread stationed with each other and with the depot. This means it's getting coverage of the entire city. And it's not just this one. The AI has already got quite a number of stations. Let's have a look. So we've got some ships going back, loads of ships going backwards and forwards here. Oh my goodness, there is absolutely tons of them. So we can see here in its finances, it's taken out a loan, and it's just taken out a little bit more. It's got hardly any cash, and it's spent £200,000 on all of these docks and ships. So far, no trains, no road vehicles, and no aircraft. Just 110, 113, 115, 117. Look at this purchasing of ships, 123. I'm not fast forwarding, and it is absolutely shooting up. And if we have a look at this ferry, it is tiny and terrible. Its speed is quite slow, and it has a relatively low capacity. But the important thing here, the cost of it, £1,500 for an entire vehicle. That is very cost effective. So it appears that the AI has chosen a number of water routes to do various different things backwards and forwards. It might be a little hard for you to see, but I can tell that the AI has got shipping routes at various different stops all around the world. I've got to be honest, I wasn't expecting the AI to go for ships. Trains can make loads of money, and also aircraft. But with the mods that we've got installed for this, there are so many more options, and apparently this way is very cost effective. And by June, the AI has already paid off its loan. With over 500,000 ship income, it's definitely been worth this little tactic. Now, while most of the stations seem to be doing mail, it does seem that some of them are doing passengers. That one's empty at the moment. Are they not full loading then in their orders? So it seems that it's full loading at one side, going to a ship depot, going to another ship depot, to a dock, and then via another ship depot back to where it started. So it is full loading on one end, and to be honest, that's how I often do things. Normally only for industry, but when I want to spread my vehicles out, that's one way of doing it nice and quickly. And I tend to do it on the side that's going to have the most passengers. So in this case, out of these two towns, we've got one here that's 5,000 in population, and this one is nearly 2,000. So it makes sense to full load at Farthingford. With 187 ships, the AI is doing quite well, but I don't think it will continue like this forever. Let's see what it branches out into next. Well, after 638 ships, the AI has finally built some trains. Let's find out what they're up to. Ah, very nice, using the ISR stations. And we have a railway. Is that a narrow gauge railway? Let's have a look what this is. Railway track. Yep, narrow gauge railway. Okay, interesting. But what's it doing? The coverage of this station isn't great. But they've used spread stations. And they've used truck stops, so maybe this is going to be a mail service. Let's find out. So it looks like, yep, the line has just been built. And are they building a train just yet? No, no train. Oh, no, there it is. The train is being built right now. It's a 5.8 length train. Yes, with Iron Horse, you get some weird train lengths. And there it is, pulling the carriages backwards into the station. And it looks like it's doing both passengers and mail. Indeed, we can see the total cargo for this train is 180 passengers and 84 mail. So the AI has finally moved on from ships. Let's see how it's getting on after the end of its first year. And after the first year, it's still trains and ships for the AI. A couple of trains doing passengers and mail, but the ships have branched out a little bit. We've got a coal service going up this lake and down to this power station. A couple of ships going backwards and forwards doing that. Branching out into different industries, using different vehicle types. It's going to be interesting to see what the AI does by the end of its allotted time. And having a look at some of the statistics, we can see that the company value so far is nearly £5 million, and they've got 3 million in the bank account. Those ships definitely brought in a lot of income at the beginning of the game. It was a very shrewd start indeed. But I wonder how it's going to continue on in the next few years. I am a little bit confused about why the AI hasn't tried to use some higher capacity ships. Maybe it just really ranks the idea that these are so cheap, but there are certainly a lot of them. And it's not just in one place, they're in a few ponds across the world. There's one, oh, here's another one. Ah, finally! Some bigger ships, going longer distances too. I think with the amount of money in the bank for the AI, it's now worth it to do it. Oh, and another train service. Ah, now this one doesn't look like it's narrow gauge. Yes, this is a standard railway. Much longer trains as well. Maximum train length there, I think. Yeah, going backwards and forwards. Transferring. Oh, it's transferring for the ships. Interesting. So bringing extra passengers in from a nearby town in there, so that you can make even more money with the ships. And we've also moved on from steam already. There's some trains going along here. I think these ones are diesel, but they've been put on an electric rail line, which is quite strange. Electric rail comes quite early in Iron Horse. And the going around the townness of this particular route is a bit odd as well. From what I know, the AI just tries to build a straight track from one location to another and goes around the obstacles. So you can see it's going straight down here, and it can't get to the station, so it goes around the town and in the other side. Railways are now springing up all over the place, and it looks like they're still trying to supplement the ships with the trains. And this one has a forced depot in. That's a good way to keep your trains well serviced. It's interesting that there are quite a variety of different sorts of trains that the AI is using. Perhaps it tries different trains on different routes depending on the length and what it's pulling. Some of these are passengers and mail, but there are now some coal trains as well doing a service over here. It's quite a long coal train with 2 engines, and it's quite a long route as well. It seems to go up some hills, through tunnels, and back down the other side. It'd be interesting to see if the trains manage to get up these hills quite quickly with just those 2 small engines and quite a long set of carriages. Here we go, let's find out. So, I'm not sure what the top speed is, but it's managed to get to 90 kilometers per hour, 92, 94 just before hitting this hill. And as it hits the hill, it doesn't really affect it that much. Drops ever so slightly down to 93, but now we're accelerating again. Problem is, we've got another hill, and then we've got another. Having more than one within a train length is a little bit catastrophic for acceleration of trains. In fact, you can see we're down to 77 kilometers an hour already. We haven't quite got to the top of the hill yet. Although, now the land has leveled out, the train is picking up speed again. So, having 2 engines seems to be working quite well. The acceleration up to that top speed is not too bad. Although it would be best to stagger these hill inclines. Ideally, 1 per train length only. I've spotted some construction going on. We can see that the AI has tried a number of different routes to get this line in, and is now, appears to be, successfully getting it in. And I think it's actually adapting a line because there's already trains running on it and getting stuck. That's dangerous. You could end up with a train crash if it's not careful. Looks like there used to be a station in here, but then it's changed its mind and it's made a longer route or connected the route in a little bit differently. Now this one's a little different because most of the passenger services so far that the AI has done by train has been purely to supplement the ships. This one is not. It's a dedicated passenger service between 2 towns. And we've got a similar sort of situation here. Looks like that the AI had a shorter line to one town, removed the station, and is now connecting up a longer line where there used to be a junction. Again, I wonder if this could cause a crash. It's unlikely. It is placing signals as it goes, so I think it's going to be okay. Even with a good algorithm, you can still get a number of odd behaviors. This line goes along and into a station pretty good, but then we've got a station next to it which couldn't really get exactly where it wanted to go. So the lines come straight out of the station, a hard left, there is a bridge which probably isn't really that necessary, and then tunnels under both the stations before it goes back out with another bridge and straight into another station. This would have been so much easier if the AI had just gone round the other way. However, it just picks a point between the 2 stations and attempts to build that route, rather than trying to find lots of different routes that could be potentially most optimal. This is mostly due to limitations in the game. There's only so much thinking an AI can do with the CPU in a certain period of time. And as we get to December 1935, we've reached the halfway mark for the AI. 295 million of cash in the bank account, and a company value of 314 million. And it's done that so far with 119 trains, 684 road vehicles, and 430 ships. And it seems to be that overall its tactic is slowly shifting. Originally, it was just ships. Then it was railway lines to help supplement those ships. It was initially small ships, and has now moved to bigger. However, it's also moving to different freights, not just passengers and mail. And we also have railway lines that are dedicated passengers and mail services between towns and nothing to do with the shipping. The AI is obviously good at building big, long railway lines and can go across rivers, hills, and navigate various bits of terrain in various different ways, though it doesn't always find the most convenient route to go. For me, the most surprising thing so far is the fact that we've had 0 aircraft. None at all. I don't know whether it's because we've got the Aviate set, which means that the AI decides that these aircraft aren't worth it. Some of them are quite fast and not too expensive, but as a general rule, the capacity is quite terrible. That might be a reason why it's trying to avoid them. This is a bit interesting. I've seen the AI done shared lines and things before, but I don't think I've seen it share a station. Did it mean to share this station? Did it just happen to put a station next to a station and it end up being just one station? I'm not entirely sure, but these are definitely two very different railway lines going to the same place. Let's see what other interesting things we can spot over the next few years. With more and more infrastructure being laid down in the world, the AI is now coming up with inventive ways to get up and around itself. This one's quite a long tunnel, it goes under an entire town. And here we've got an interesting one where the gap between the stations is actually shorter than the station length itself. I'm not sure this is the most profitable thing to do. I mean, it's going to make some money, right? But let's have a look. Okay, so this train didn't make a lot of money last period. It could be quite new. Let's have a look. Age is 0 years. Okay, yes, it is brand new. But its reliability is 0 and it's had 10 breakdowns. Why? Why is this train not servicing in the depot? It's even got an order to service in the depot. Well, if for some reason it's not going into that... is it because there's no signal in front of the depot? I think that might need to be it. For the pathing of trains in OpenTTD, there's something about how it decides to service and where it decides to find depots that has decision making amongst the signals. Now, I haven't looked into the code myself, but I think sometimes if you haven't got a signal, the train will just not path into the depot. This is the sort of thing that I think a human player would probably pick up on, although they might not realise what the problem is right away. Now, do we have a problem here? A train going between two stations with no signals? Let's take a look. It's got an order for a train depot, but yep, its reliability is 0. I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be something that you could consider a bug in the AI behaviour and something that would need fixing. We've got quite a hive of activity going on around in this town, 3 stations and a bunch of road vehicles. Some networks that were a bit wiggly before have become even more wiggly, with more lines crossing in and around each other. Here's one from a little while ago, now with 2 more extra stations at the same town. Now, I'm not sure whether the AI is deliberately trying to create these little hubs and connecting these stations together, or whether it's a bit of a coincidence that they end up like this. If you look across the world, there's a couple of examples of this happening. There's a few stations grouping up here around these towns, and then if you go up here, there's a couple of stations in the same place there. It does seem like it's more coincidence than plan, but I could be wrong. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the AI is about to remove this station. I just caught it adding this new line here. You can see the depots have just gone in and a new station, an extension on the line. So we have an existing rail network, one all the way down from here, and look, there's another junction there. One thing that I can see is there's no longer any trains that have been designated to these 2 midway stations. Yep, there we go. This one has just been ripped out. It's following the back of this train. There you go. You don't want to do that in locomotion. You can actually remove track under the bottom of a train and cause it to crash, but not in OpenTTD. There we go. New track being put in. I wonder what's going to happen here. Alright, okay. And then presumably this one as well. Yep, there it goes. Removal of the old track. Oh, there we go. We've actually seen an upgrade in progress, and that should be quite the upgrade. Trains are now going from all the way up here at this station up here. This one's called 2315 at New Pringfield. All the way down this line to here. And now these trains are running regularly on the long line. They're making 1.1 million per period, which is absolutely fantastic. Resources there going up and down. Obviously doing very well, but how well has the AI done overall? Well, it's nearly ran out of time, so let's skip forward to the final result. Well, time is now up. Let's see how that AI got on. First off, how many stations did it end up with? Only 77. Whatever it did and however it did it with a relatively low number of stations. However, let's look at the number of vehicles. We can see here that throughout the entire experiment, the Hog AI used 0 aircraft. This is quite unusual for some of the AIs, and like I said earlier, it's probably due to the type of aircraft that are available. But it's nice to see some different gameplay. There were 565 ships in the end, which is a lot of ships, and nearly all of them were upgraded to bigger and better ships along the way. These paddle steamers, some of them were making 120,000 per period. And there were a lot of road vehicles, although most of these road vehicles were either not making much money or making negative. A lot of these, I think, were lost leaders, connections, growth patterns, trying to get cities to grow, trying to transfer people and passengers into different places around the map to make profit elsewhere. And profit did come in the forms of trains. Quite a few trains over here. One group of 29 trains got 8 million in profit. 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, plenty of trains making lots of money. But how much money did the AI have? Well, by the end of the period 44, it was making 50 million income in ships and 47 income from the trains. Not really anything from the road vehicles, but we kind of knew that they were a lost leader. You can tell that because 136,000 income, 947 on the expenses. The AI made 81 million last year, resulting in 1.4 billion in the bank account. And there's no surprise that that makes a big company value, 1.4 billion in company value as well. So in terms of pure statistics, how does this shape up against the community? When it comes to company value, the AI smashed it with over 5 times that of the community. The profit was also very high, and as was the revenue, and they did it with only 21% of the operating expenses that the community was using. Over 5 times the amount of cash was on hand, similar to the company value, but both teams did manage to get rid of the loan. Now when it comes to the stations, the AI built 33% of the stations that the community did, a very small quantity. But the vehicles is flipped round the other way, 4 times the amount of total vehicles. Now the trains weren't that different, but the difference mainly came from the road vehicles and ships, where the AI had vast quantities more. The amount of track pieces built was pretty similar, although with a smaller number of stations, the AI managed to build a larger amount of station tiles. This is probably due to larger stations on average. And also delivered 650% cargo units compared to the community. This vast amount of cargo is what gave rise to all of that profit. And if we look at the population of the world, it's only 139%. It is quite a lot bigger, but not massively. So whilst it's clear that the AI built up more profit and a more valuable company, how did they do in terms of actually making good networks? Well, here you see quite an active area of the map. There's loads of buses in this town, there's a few different rail routes all intermingling, but if you zoom out from that, there's whole areas of the map where there's just nothing. This is somewhat similar to the community because they're still growing their world. Something of note is a lot of the routes are just point to point and not an interconnected network. Where they are interconnected, it was either by accident or the connections actually got taken out in favour of longer routes. And shipping was similar too, where a lot of it was point to point as well, with some of them actually being very short indeed, but still profitable. If we take a look at the world map, we can see that the routes are spread out across the world. There doesn't seem to be any particular pattern to exactly where everything is, but you can tell that there's lots of shipping routes across various ponds and railway lines joining things up all over. The little yellow dots in the town show where all those road vehicles are circling around, and I'm not seeing any road vehicles going between towns. They were all there for town growth and for transferring passengers to stations for trains and ships. Comparing this back to the community's playthrough, there are some similarities, like the use of road vehicles here to supplement shipping, and some long routes with maximum length trains for most profit and efficiency. But there are a lot of contrasts. For example, there are a lot of interconnected networks, multiple stations on a single line, as well as webs of railway lines connecting multiple stations. The attention to detail with some of these stations is something that has been created through human thought, as well as signs of future planning. Whether it's metro lines, main lines, road vehicles, there's bits of stuff all over. But if we look at the map of the world, it's not as spread out as the AI. It's in clumps, it's in regions. You can see sprawling networks that interconnect and join up, and I think this is only going to continue further over the course of Season 12. So which company won in the end? Is it going to be the human community or the AI? Well, it depends, I think, on how you define winning. Now, one way would be to say the most valuable company or the most profitable company, and by far the AI absolutely smashed this. Not only can the AI build profitable routes, but it can do so fast, very, very quickly, laying down tracks sometimes much quicker than any human could. Although if you want to, you can turn this down into game settings. So while both human and AI built profitable routes, it was the AI that did it quicker and got more things down on the network to get even more profit, approximately 4 times that of the community. However, there is a slightly different way of looking at it as well. Sometimes a transport empire isn't about the profit, it's about the actual transport network that's been built. Here you can see a brilliant example of a really nice interconnected network. The vehicles flow through the network with ease, not getting in each other's way, and have multiple different ways that they can go down different lines. These sorts of networks are craved by many members of the OpenTTD community, and an interesting transport network, I think, is something of beauty to behold. For me, the human community wins hands down with this. The AI networks do their job, but they don't have the beauty and complexity that I love to see in this game. There's just too many point-to-point bits without the interconnectivity. Now, there are some AIs that try and make interconnected networks, but these tend to be small and not very profitable. I think it's about time that we had a new AI on the scene that combined profits with interconnected networks. So yeah, sure, if you want to say who got the most money, yeah, the AI won, and won comfortably. But for me, the community are winners in my heart because they have done a fantastic job at making a brilliant transport company so far, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you can take a look at all the videos and live streams that are on there. Not only Season 12 Let's Plays, but I've got a whole load of AI battle videos and challenges too. Of course, links are in the description to all the important things, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching, take care, but for now, goodbye.